Welcome to Wawasan Wire. Today, we're talking about Teng Chang Khim's assessment of the Democratic Action Party's internal flaws and his roadmap for policy execution. And what's so interesting here is who this is coming from. This isn't, the usual attack from an opposition party.
Not at all.
This is a former Democratic Action Party Central Committee member speaking with, well, brutal honesty about the party's own culture. It feels like a real moment of internal reckoning.
It's the diagnosis from inside the building. He's not just complaining, he's giving a very precise reason for why they've had these setbacks, especially what he called the Waterloo in the Sabah election.
Right.
And he's not blaming anyone else. The finger is pointed squarely inward, suggesting the party is its own worst enemy. We're really looking at the solutions he's proposing to fix what he sees as structural rot.
So let's just get right into that central argument because it's a big one. He basically says opposing parties are not the main enemy of the Democratic Action Party.
Yeah, which is a radical thing for a politician to say. He's telling them to stop looking across the aisle.
So if the opposition isn't the problem, then who is?
Well, according to him, the party is defeating itself. He points to this toxic combination in the party culture. He calls it a triumvirate of arrogance, high profile, and loudness.
Arrogance, high profile, and loudness. I mean, we've all seen that in politics, but how does that actually translate into losing votes on the ground?
It just creates this perception of being disconnected, It looks elitist. When a party is seen as too loud, too high profile, it feels like they're more interested in winning a news cycle than, say, fixing a local drainage problem. And the arrogance part is probably the most damaging. It gives off this vibe that they know best and they don't really need to listen. In today's climate, where people want to see some humility, that just pushes voters away.
So these attitudes sort of set the stage, but the actual disaster was triggered by performance or a lack of it. Let's talk about the Sabah election. He makes a really key distinction there. He says the public wasn't really angry about the content of the promises. They weren't rejecting the goals.
Exactly. And this is where we shift from a personality problem to an operational one. If voters agree with your goals, better roads, lower costs, but they still vote against you.
And the problem isn't the what, it's the how.
It's all about the how. The issue was the failure to deliver results. People just weren't seeing the changes happen quickly enough or at all. It's the classic gap between a great plan on paper and what actually gets done.
The gap between the ringgit allocated and the ringgit felt on the ground.
That's it perfectly. It suggests voters have very little patience now. They're not interested in 5-year plans anymore. They want to see a report card. You don't need a whole new ideology. You need a better engine.
Okay, so if the diagnosis is internal arrogance and a broken engine, what's the cure? What does he prescribe at the national level?
He proposes a major structural fix, the creation of a Policy Execution Promotion and Monitoring Committee.
A Policy Execution Promotion and Monitoring Committee? That sounds very bureaucratic. How would it actually work?
It's meant to be very disciplined, very focused on metrics. So first, its job is to actively find the problems. Where is the red tape? What's holding up this policy? They're like internal auditors.
Okay, so they find the blockages.
Then second, they create a priority list, a roadmap. They decide which policies are mission critical and need to be pushed through immediately.
And the third part is the one with the teeth, isn't it? The deadline.
That's the real kicker. A strict, non-negotiable 18-month deadline for visible results.
18 months.
18 months. Every policy on that priority list has to show real, tangible progress within that time frame. And there's constant internal reporting. It shifts the entire focus from political talk to performance metrics.
But is 18 months realistic? I mean, for big national policies, that seems incredibly fast. Is it just for a quick PR win?
That's the risk, isn't it? But I think the calculation is that it creates urgency. It's long enough to achieve something meaningful, but short enough that people don't lose interest. It forces a culture of, we delivered X instead of, we tried our best.
Okay, so you're fixing things internally. How do you talk about it externally? Especially if you're trying to get rid of that loud and high-profile image.
Well, this is where the strategy of silence comes in. It's very pragmatic. He advises them to be extremely careful with their messaging. Report successes when you have them, of course, but hold back on the sensitive stuff like the internal strategy meetings or future plans.
Why? To avoid looking arrogant.
Partly, but the main reason he gives is to prevent sabotage.
Yeah.
If you announce your entire game plan, you're just giving the opposition a roadmap on where to attack and create disruption.
So the silence is a shield. You work quietly until the results are so obvious they can't be ignored.
Exactly. Let the new road or the lower bill do the talking for you. It's about trading that short-term dopamine hit of a good press conference for the long-term win of successful execution.
That takes a lot of discipline. Now, does this model get applied at the state level too?
Oh, absolutely. He proposes replicating this policy execution committee in the two main states they govern. Because, at the local level, execution failures are felt immediately. A pothole or a tax issue.
And he puts a special focus on Penang, right? He calls it heavy ground. What's so special about Penang in this plan?
Penang is supposed to be the gold standard. It's their long-term stronghold, so stability there is everything. The idea is for the current leadership to set the bar for execution and for any future leaders to follow that same policy path. No sudden changes.
So it's about building a legacy of competence.
A legacy of consistency to show they're capable administrators for the long haul.
Okay, but what happens when a policy just fails, when it causes a public backlash? What's the plan for that?
He has a very clear three-step triage protocol for that. It's designed to be fast and decisive.
Triage, I like that.
Step 1, immediately suspend execution. Just stop the bleeding. Acknowledge the problem. Step 2, immediate communication. Talk to people, find out what's wrong, and try to fix it.
And if it can't be fixed?
Then step 3, decisive abolition. Just cut it loose. He argues it's better to kill a bad policy quickly than to let it hang around your neck and drag the whole government down.
That is so rare in politics, to just admit defeat and move on. It makes you wonder, and I'd ask anyone listening this, when a government does that, when they pull a policy, do you see it as strong leadership that listens? Or does it look like weakness and indecision?
It's a huge question. And he clearly believes it's a sign of strategic strength, not weakness. Which brings us to the philosophy behind all of this.
Right, this idea of just enduring the criticism. He says to bow down, listen, silently bear it, but continue moving forward. It's about absorbing the punches.
It is. It's a recognition that in the social media age, the backlash is instant and overwhelming. If you react to every single negative comment, you'll get completely sidetracked.
So you just have to power through the noise.
You have to absorb the noise, but stay focused on that 18-month goal. The core belief is that criticism is loud but temporary, while results are quiet but permanent.
So the public might be angry for a few months, but after that 18-month mark, they'll vote based on what's actually changed in their lives.
That's the bet. That at the end of the day, the ballot box cares more about delivery than debate. But this brings us to the final and honestly the most shocking part of his analysis.
The part about the Sabah defeat.
He says that the total defeat there was actually a good thing for the Democratic Action Party.
How on earth is a total wipeout a good thing? That sounds completely counterintuitive.
His logic is that a total defeat forces a reckoning, a real shock to the system. He says if they had just managed to save a few seats or done a little bit better but still lost, that would have been the real disaster.
Because that would have been an excuse to not change.
Exactly. A small loss allows for complacency. You can blame a few things, make minor tweaks, and carry on. He thinks mediocrity would have stopped them from doing this deep, painful self-reflection.
So a total failure was the only thing that could trigger a total overhaul.
It was the necessary catalyst for reform. A brutal but, very clear-eyed assessment.
It really brings everything full circle, doesn't it? The whole roadmap is a call for the party to change its very identity, to go from being this loud, successful opposition force to a quiet, efficient, and disciplined governing body.
Yes, to be known for its delivery, not just its voice. The question he's really asking is whether the party has the will to take this very bitter medicine. It requires a lot of humility.
And the recognition that real power isn't about winning an argument, it's about delivering a result on a deadline.
Which really makes you think about what political success even means anymore.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.